He entered the jungle seeking silence and solitude. What he found would test his courage, rewrite his fate, and awaken something wild within. At the edge of a forgotten village, hidden deep in the emerald veins of South Asia's jungle, lived a man named Nathan. Once he belonged to the city, its noise, its pace, its endless pull. But the roar of traffic and the crush of crowds had worn him thin. He longed for stillness, space, a return to something unfiltered and real. So he walked away from everything and vanished into the wild. Each day, Nathan wandered the narrow paths that wound through the jungle around his modest new home. He inhaled the scent of damp earth, tangled roots, and blooming vines. The jungle didn't speak in words, but it spoke. In rustling branches, in faraway bird calls, in the deep, patient rhythm of life. Then came that scorching summer day. The sun pounded through the leafy canopy, thickening the air until it pressed down like a weight. Sweat glued Nathan's shirt to his skin as he moved carefully through the brush. That's when he heard it. A sound faint, broken, wrong. Not a bird, not any creature he'd heard before. It carried something unmistakable. Panic, desperation. Nathan froze, senses sharpening. Again the cry, louder this time. Vit, gasping, pleading. He dropped his bag and ran toward the noise. Vines clawed at his legs. Sharp branches scraped his arms. The air clung to him like wet fabric. But he didn't slow down. The cries sharpened, frantic now. He broke through the last curtain of green and stopped dead. In a muddy pit, carved out by the last rains, a tiger cub was drowning. Its tiny body flailed in the murky water, head dipping below the surface with each failing kick. Its wide eyes thrashed wildly, locked in terror. Nathan froze. A tiger, wild, dangerous. Even young, it was still a predator. But fear wasn't an option. Not now. If he didn't act, the cub wouldn't last another minute. A quick scan, no sign of the mother. Decision made. He yanked off his shoes, rolled up his sleeves, and stepped in. The mud gripped his feet like hands, and the cold slime climbed his legs as he waded deeper. The water was higher than it looked, up to his chest, but his eyes stayed locked on the struggling cub. "It's okay, little one," he murmured. "I'm here now. I've got you." Something in his voice pierced the panic. The cub froze, just for a breath. Nathan moved fast. He slipped his arms beneath the trembling animal and lifted. It was lighter than he expected, soaked, shaking. He held it tight to his chest, offering what warmth he could. Step by step, he slogged back to shore. Once on solid ground, he gently placed the cub in the grass. It whimpered, frightened, but it was breathing. Nathan dropped to his knees, heart pounding. Relief flooded him, but then he saw it just beyond the tall grass. A glint of metal. He crept toward it, parted the foliage, and stopped, his breath gone. There she was, the mother, a full-grown tigress, her back leg caught in a rusted iron trap. The teeth were sunk deep into muscle, blood pooling around her. The chain rattled as she strained to move, her eyes locked on the cub she couldn't reach. She hadn't abandoned her baby. She was a prisoner. Nathan's chest tightened. A wounded tiger was one of the most dangerous animals alive. But leaving her like this, bleeding, broken, was unthinkable. He raised his hands and stepped closer. The tigress growled, low, guttural, raw with pain. But she didn't strike. "I'm not your enemy," he whispered. "I'm here to help." He crouched near the trap, every nerve on fire. The metal was old but brutal. Each twitch of her leg brought fresh blood. Her breath came in harsh bursts. Her eyes were wild. Pain, fear, protectiveness all at once. He leaned in, ignoring how close her jaws were. He studied the lock, the mechanics. One wrong move and this would end badly for both of them. He needed to move fast. But before he could act, he heard it. Crunch. A step on dry leaves. They moved with practiced silence. Rough, armed. One carried a rifle, the other lugged a heavy bag, bulging with iron traps and rusted chains. Predators in human skin. The tigress growled weakly, warningly. One man laughed. Still got some fight left. Not for long, the other muttered, kneeling. We'll spring the trap, put her down, and start the work. Hide like that? We're looking at a fat payout. Nathan's hands curled into fists. Rage lit in his gut. He had come seeking peace. Instead, he found cruelty wrapped in green.
No weapon.
No phone.
No backup.
Just him and a rising need to protect. The tigress thrashed, blood soaking the dirt. Her eyes searched for her cub. One poacher pulled out a ring of keys. Let's make this quick. Nathan scanned the ground. A stone fist-sized, smooth. He picked it up, threw it hard into the opposite brush. Crack. A branch snapped. The sound echoed. Both men flinched. What the hell was that? One hissed, raising his rifle. Might be another cat. Or someone watching. Check it. One moved toward the sound. The other turned back to the tigress. Now, Nathan bolted low through the undergrowth. Quick, quiet, precise. He slipped past a vine, ducked under a low branch, avoiding a hanging hornet's nest. Breath shallow, heart thundering. He reached the poacher's scattered tools, shovels, rope, and a heavy iron wrench. He grabbed it, cold, heavy, real. With the tool in hand, Nathan crept toward the tigress. She saw him. Her growl faded, not out of weakness, but recognition. She was still breathing fast, chest heaving, blood matting her fur. But her golden eyes locked on his. There was pain, yes, but also memory. He had saved her cub. I'm here, Nathan whispered, kneeling beside the trap. I know you're scared, but I promise, I'll help. The trap was old, rusted, but cruelly strong. Its iron teeth had sunk deep into her leg. Nathan wedged the wrench into the locking mechanism and began to twist. His muscles screamed. The wrench refused to budge. He gritted his teeth, twisted harder. Time stretched thin. Even the jungle seemed to hold its breath. Clank. The trap sprang open. The tigress flinched back, leg finally free. She collapsed, then rose again, trembling but standing. Blood dripped from the wound, but she was upright, breathing, alive. Her eyes never left Nathan. He stepped back slowly, hands raised in peace. Then, a voice cut through the stillness. Hey, what the hell? The second poacher had returned. Both men stood frozen, staring at the scene, the freed tigress and Nathan holding the wrench. You son of a... One raised his rifle. Nathan dropped the wrench and lifted his hands. Please, he said, nobody has to get hurt. Just let her go. But rage had eclipsed reason. You just cost us more than you know, one snarled. And you're not walking away. They stepped forward. Nathan closed his eyes. No weapons, no plan, no hope, just a prayer. Roar. The jungle exploded. The tigress burst from the shadows with a roar that shook the trees. She placed herself squarely between Nathan and the rifles. Body low, tail lashing, teeth bared with primal fury. The poachers froze. She's protecting him. Another roar, louder, deeper. She took a step forward. Then another. That was enough. Forget it, go! The poachers turned and fled, crashing through the undergrowth like terrified animals. One dropped his rifle. The other tripped over his own feet. Neither looked back. Silence returned. The tigress stood tall, trembling from blood loss and rage. Then slowly she turned. Her eyes met Nathan's. He couldn't move, could barely breathe. There was something ancient in her gaze, something more than animal. A bond forged in fire, fear, and mercy. Then she limped to the ferns. A soft sound left her throat, and the cub emerged. She sniffed it, licked its fur, and then, impossibly, looked back at Nathan one last time, and bowed her head, just once. Then the tigress and her cub vanished into the emerald shadows. Nathan sank to his knees, not from exhaustion, but from awe. The jungle was still again, as if every tree, every leaf, had witnessed the moment and now stood in reverent silence. He had come seeking peace. What he found was something deeper, a connection that defied language, species, or reason. Then a rustle. He turned sharply, pulse quickening, expecting another threat. But it was no animal. From the shadows, a figure emerged. Small, barefoot, camouflaged by dirt and leaves. A child. Thin, wild-eyed, silent. The boy stepped forward, cautious but unafraid. In his hand, he held a tiny object. A wooden tiger, rough, worn, but lovingly carved. The boy held it out. "My sister made this," he said, his voice no louder than the wind. "She told me, the spirits of the jungle protect people with kind hearts." Nathan took the carving, overwhelmed. "Where are your parents?" he asked gently. The boy looked down. "The jungle took them, a long time ago. Since then, I've been alone, watching, listening." "You live here?" Nathan asked, stunned. The boy nodded. "I saw what you did. I saw you save her cub." He pointed to where the tigress had vanished. She saw it too. Nathan felt the air shift around him, not with fear, but with realization. This child hadn't survived despite the jungle. He'd survived because of it. "Come with me," Nathan said. "You don't have to hide anymore." The boy studied his face. Then slowly he smiled. A soft, cautious smile, like sunlight through thick trees. And something shifted. For both of them, they walked back to the village side by side. The wooden tiger clutched tightly in Nathan's hand. From that day on, everything changed. Nathan adopted the boy as his own. Together, they became guardians of the forest. Nathan taught him to read, to write, to speak the language of people. The boy taught Nathan to listen, to the language of wind, water, animals, and silence. The villagers, once wary, came to admire them. They told stories by firelight of a man and a child who had been touched by the jungle and lived to protect it. They patrolled the edges of the wild, dismantling traps, planting trees, leaving warnings for those who came to harm. And in time, they built a sanctuary not just for wounded animals but for lost children too. Sometimes, on still nights, with the moon high and the forest whispering, they would pause and see two golden eyes watching from the trees. Not with fear, not with anger, but with trust. And maybe, just maybe, with love. Because when Nathan chose to save a life, the jungle chose to save his. Did this story move you? Would you have done what Nathan did? Let us know in the comments. If you like this story, give us a like, subscribe, and share. Because sometimes, when you follow your heart, you don't just change one life. You change your own. Thanks for listening. See you in the next story. Take care.